Everybody, I'd like to welcome you to the August 12th Water Committee meeting. I'll just wait for everybody to get with us here. I think we have all members of the committee here except for alternate director Wells, who's online, and we do have staff in the room as well. I'd like to welcome everybody to where we are meeting on the traditional unceded territory of the Comox First Nation, and we thank them for their stewardship of the land and waters which we meet. So we will go to the first item, which is the resolution status report. Okay, we've got Grieve and Grant. And any questions or comments on that report? Seeing none, is anybody opposed to receipt? Seeing none, that's carried. And the next item is the Water Management Advisory minutes. Got Grant and Cole Hamilton, and any questions or comments on that, on those minutes? Seeing none, anyone opposed to receipt? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you. And the next item is the options for the Puntledge River pump station and recommended path forward. And I believe we are going to hear from staff, but if someone wants to move receipt. Okay, we've got Grant and Hillian. Thank you. And we'll turn over to staff. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Zoe Berkey is our Senior Engineering Analyst, and Zoe will be introducing the staff report supported by Chris LaRose, Senior Manager of Water Wastewater Services. So Zoe, over to you.
Thank you, James, through the CAO and the chair to the committee. I've just created a short PowerPoint to kind of help support this staff report to walk through the options for the Puntledge River Pump Station and our recommended path forward. So the Puntledge River Pump Station was constructed in 1982 and is kind of outlined in orange on the slide there. It is part of the Comox Valley water system, and originally we used it, well, historically we've used it as a backup when the penstock was down for maintenance. So this was kind of our backup supply to the penstock when we used to use the penstock as our water source. The pump station is on a lease with BC Hydro, and as part of the construction of the water treatment plant and the new treated water transmission main, this pump station is now redundant infrastructure. In light of the change of kind of the Comox Valley water system and the new water treatment plant, we reviewed 3 options for the station moving forward. Maintaining the station, as it does provide an alternate and separate water supply location for the Comox Valley water system, decommissioning or transferring of ownership to the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. When we reached out to DFO, they informed us they were not interested in it, so that option was not considered any further. So for the 2 remaining options, we did complete a capital cost and kind of operating cost analysis for both options with support from Kerwood Lydell. So for option 1, maintaining for redundancy, there is a substantial upfront capital cost kind of required to get that station back up and running to a standard where we could use it immediately if needed. That included replacement of the traveling screens, which is that kind of blue box in the middle, and some general works within the station. Also, to maintain that station, there's average or kind of annual operation and maintenance costs, some power costs, some asset replacement planning costs, and those kind of work out to be on average $397,000 a year. For decommissioning, there's still costs associated with decommissioning, as we do have to return the land to kind of an acceptable state for BC Hydro. So that includes removing the steel structure and kind of all of the internal components of the pump station, but we can leave the concrete in place. With that being said, our recommendation is to decommission the Puntledge River Pump Station. In addition to kind of those significant capital and ongoing operating and maintenance costs, there were some other kind of considerations that staff thought were important to kind of note. These being that we have removed all the disinfection and chlorination equipment within the master meter station, or the old chlorination station. So there would be kind of this requirement to issue a boil water notice every time we did use that station. And the Puntledge River Pump Station couldn't previously and can't currently or in the future kind of meet water demand. So there's likely some stage 3 or stage 4 water restrictions that would be required every time we used it, along with it not meeting post-disaster requirements, unlike the new water treatment plant. We do acknowledge that, this does provide a second different source, which does have some resiliency, but there are these kind of costs associated with keeping it and these other considerations that we thought were warranted for the recommendation to decommission. That being said, should the committee kind of approve our recommendation today, our proposed next steps would be to include a decommissioning project within the 2026-2030 financial plan, and kind of in light of removing this redundancy, consider resiliency of our remaining infrastructure in our emergency response plan updates underway. So kind of looking at quick responses for the the raw water pump station, and considering that within the emergency response plan update, along with working closely with BC Hydro to ensure the site removals and restoration is acceptable to void or end or lease with them. That's all from me. Happy to answer any questions on this report.
Great, thank you very much. And we do have Director Grieve. Go ahead.
Thanks so much for the report. And it's kind of an end of an era, isn't it? It's anybody that lived in the Comox Valley for any length of time probably remembers when those diesel pumps kicked in. You could hear it right across the valley pretty much. They were so loud. And of course, they ran all night long. But I guess my question is, there's probably still an awful lot of value for the amount that those Cat diesels were used and the pumps attached to them. I'm sure there's an aftermarket out there where we can recoup some of our decommissioning costs, because mines and such in the north, they need big pumps like that, and these things will give them years and years of service. So I'm just thinking that there's some way we can get a few $100,000 back, or whatever close to that. I'm sure we can pursue it. Thanks.
And I'm seeing nods over there that we're hoping to recoup anything we can from the decommissioning. Great. And we have Director Wells online. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And something that once gave us I think, that feeling of reassurance as a backup has certainly served its purpose. Totally agree with Director Grieve in terms of seeing what value can be scraped from some of this aging infrastructure, but really appreciate the service that it's given us in the valley here, for sure. I don't know what the opposite of a ribbon cutting is, but whatever that is, hopefully it appreciates all the effort that it's given us over the years. So really appreciate this. I think economically it just makes sense that basically a couple of years of O&M basically is going to be less than the cost of decommissioning. So I assume the decommissioning, maybe that's my one question, the decommissioning costs, does that include sort of that last year of O&M, or the O&M up to decommissioning, or is there kind of both for that last little bit?
Yeah, the 550,000 for the decommissioning is solely the decommissioning. So that's kind of just like removals. Maybe we get a bit of that back if we can part some stuff out. We'll definitely try. And then kind of like the environmental components of that decommissioning and returning the land to kind of a concrete state doesn't include the operation and maintenance costs for kind of that half year or whatever time it takes from now until decommissioning. That being said, the 397,000 is kind of an average annual, so that includes some asset replacement costs, and obviously we won't be doing asset replacement on a asset that we're going to decommission. So it will be kind of just more power costs till it's gone, which is far lesser than that 397 that's shown in the report as an annual average.
Excellent. Thanks for articulating that. Much appreciated. I'll certainly be voting in favor.
Okay, I don't see any more lights on. Well, we're on receipt. Is anyone opposed to receipt? Seeing none, that's carried, and there's the recommendation. Grant and Grieve moved and seconded. And any further discussion on that? And we have Director Hillian. Go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. I think the Director Wells makes a good point about some acknowledgement of the service that this is given. I'm just wondering if we will be publicizing the fact that the plant is being decommissioned and giving people like Director Grieve an opportunity to mourn.
We can certainly, we have a number of opportunities to communicate to the public, and whether it be through simply our website or some of the other outreach materials we have, we can take this as a project to speak to some of the capital works and make sure that Director Grieve has that opportunity to. Sorry, were you rubbing your eye or shedding a tear? I didn't quite see that.
So I have a question. So what age is that infrastructure? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the original structure is 1982.
Okay.
We have done some pump replacements over time, but yeah,
Right.
the kind of the bulk of it is 1982. is
Right, so it's
original.
not that ancient. It's, not competing with the outdoor pool or anything, so. Okay. All right, so we haven't voted on the actual recommendation, so we'll take the vote on that. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you very much. And our last item is the water restrictions dashboard. Okay, Grieve and Grant moved and seconded, and any comments or questions on, does staff would like to speak to that first. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Chris LaRose is here to provide an update on this monthly fixture, the dashboard.
Thanks, James, and through the chair. Yes, so the latest issue of the water restrictions dashboard is here on the agenda, reporting out as of August 6th. So it provides a snapshot of the conditions largely within July, and then compares them to the previous month. So you can see, just looking in at Comox Valley Water System, you can see that the consumption month over month was reduced in July compared to June, and that's likely or definitely related to the automatic shift to stage 2 that we did on July 1st. But whereas the total consumption has come down, the peak day has increased. And as we know from being here over the past couple months, the temperature has increased. So with the shift to stage 2 and going from 3 days a week to 2 days a week, residents do try and pack in as much watering as they can to the available time. So we see a corresponding increase in peak day, potentially even affected by that slight reduction in watering duration that we brought forward and that the committee approved in June of this year. Yeah, we're currently at provincial drought level 3. A little bit better than last year. I believe we were, don't have that here on this dashboard, but I think we were at 4 at this time last year. So it has been very dry. As you can see, the precipitation is very low, particularly for July. But maybe I think there's been a few less, super hot days this year, which is helping to protect our water supply. Just briefly to the other water systems, they're all on stage 2 as well. And we have seen a corresponding decrease in consumption month over month. And as far as water supply goes, Comox Lake is at a similar level to as it was last year at this time. And BC Hydro has just reduced or is planning to reduce their flow on August 15th down to 14 cubic meters per second, which is still above the threshold for shifting to stage 3, which is 11.6. And at this point, they're confident they can maintain that level through to the end of the dry season. So hopefully that turns out to be the case. The water supply for Royston, Black Creek, Union Bay, and Graham Lake are similarly at a similar stage to where they were last year. So we're in decent shape. And second month of having the attached back rear page there, just showing this year's consumption in relation to the past 4 years, just to provide some perspective. So happy to answer any questions about the dashboard.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments on the report, the dashboard? Director Hillian, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. Not directly related to the dashboard, but we had some landscaping taking place during this period and installed new lawn, and we were able to get a partial exemption from restrictions. And I'm just wondering if there's any data kept on the number of exemptions and the impact of those exemptions on water usage.
We do have the data. I don't have it at my fingertips right now, but I can certainly report out on that. But I think, we've received relatively few of those exemption requests. So it would not be a measurable impact on our, I wouldn't expect it to be a measurable impact on our consumption. But certainly yeah.
It's good to know that Director Hillian is acknowledging the special treatment that he received over the last while. I also noted that a couple, I know it's not the Comox Valley Water System, but just these notes at the bottom, which refer to possibly a broken meter in Royston, and just some things in the works to identify possible leaks and things like that. So hopefully people look at that part of the report as well. Provides a bit of extra context to things. Okay, I don't see any more lights on, so this was just for receipt. Is there anybody opposed to receipt? Seeing none, that's carried. And I believe we are at the end of the agenda. Thank you. So we've got Hillian and Grant, and we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.